You in India and also morning here in Guyana, and we have a power shutdown. I'm on a backup. I hope it doesn't go down before I conclude these remarks. But I want to salute my dear friend Pravin Gordon and Chief Minister Narayanasamy for their very insightful addresses and points of view on the occasion which we are observing today. I had, in fact, sent a video of my presentation, so you would forgive me if I, Dr. Sampath, if I forego the preliminaries. I want to greet all the distinguished participants who are participating in this historic event. I thank you, Dr. VRS.Sampath, for having invited me to take part in this event. I applaud you for your key role, and I know with your extraordinary aptitude and experience as founder of the World Tamils Economic Conference, president of the Madras Development Society, and editor of the Satakadir Law Journal, that this event can only conclude in one way, that is tremendous success, as you have done in other occasions. I am honored also, and very deeply honored, to launch the Nelson Mandela International Awards for Conflict Resolution. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela heroically straddled 2 centuries, 102 years after his birth. In life as in death, he remained in our time, for all times, a towering titan of revolutionary ideas for freedom, interracial coexistence with peace and social justice. The world is all too familiar with the epic fate of Mandela, who from the time he became politically involved in 1942 was persecuted, arrested, banned, prosecuted, and jailed. He courted death for his ideals and for his role as an activist for equality in a country where white fascists had imposed apartheid as the form of racist state power. Nelson Mandela took part in the broad-based and peaceful civil disobedience struggles, then led by the African National Congress and included the South African Indian Congress and the South African Communist Party. But after the Sharpeville massacre of 1961, those struggles embraced elements of legitimate armed resistance to the racist state violence under minority rule. Nelson Mandela was not a pacifist. We have heard from Minister Gordon the quotation, and if you don't mind, I'll repeat what he had said at the Rigonia treason trial. I quote, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I'm prepared to die." Unquote. It was for that ideal that he endured the ordeal of imprisonment for 27 years. The forces of apartheid had taken away his freedom, not his conviction, not his belief, not his ideals. The rest, as we say, is now history. Mandela had taught us that in fractured societies where racism and violence are institutionalized, it is legitimate to respond in the fight for justice with diverse legal and extra-legal means. To bring about reconciliation and peace, it requires, however, painstaking and purposeful negotiation and reasonable compromise. This is, in a nutshell, is the essence of conflict resolution. In South Africa, when peace was brokered after years of behind the scene and secret talks, two hitherto antagonistic sides buried the proverbial hatchet after a heavy toll on human lives. The leaders founded an alliance in government, albeit short lived, was a constructive experiment worth emulating. It shows that conflict resolution constitutes an effective alternative to fighting and bloodshed. And here I just want to mention the experience of Guyana, that we had experienced a legacy of racial polarization and division. And my own effort recently ended, of course, short lived in the removal of my government, but it was the first time in the history of Guyana that we tried to bring the major African and Indian population together in what was a six-party coalition. I have always, in the last 60 years of my life, been committed to a government of national unity to bring all the broad forces together for ethnic peace and to end this colonial imposed division in our society. Well, we will see what happened. The intervention had taken place. There has been considerable foreign interference in our elections in March, and we are still hoping that we can work towards a peaceful resolution of our several conflicts. Apartheid, however, was a huge threat to world peace. It was incubated and encouraged by a powerful global class system to ensure dominance of the rich and the mighty. But it was brought down when the people were united, when the world spoke with one voice, and when the world acted together, as it did almost 2 decades earlier, to end the war of aggression against Vietnam. In all of that, one man symbolized the conscience of the world. One man stood tall, never surrendering to evil. As the Mahatma Gandhi had advised in the context of colonial oppression in India, non-cooperation with evil is a sacred duty. Nelson Mandela did not win the battle with bullets. The people won by ballots. That example tells us that the ballot is sacred. It has been won from struggles and sacrifices. That, for me, is Nelson Mandela's mandate to us, to use the vote as a weapon to achieve people's power. At the ripe age of 76, he voted for the first time in a credible election in South Africa and was elected president of the Republic of South Africa. Today, as we observe the fight against systemic racism and state violence in the United States, we recall the sober advice of that adorable American civil rights leader, the late Senator John Lewis, that the answer to injustice is the vote. The answer to injustice is the vote. The end of the Cold War had tamed what one writer described as the deadly dragon, but it has given birth to a host of scary serpents, styled regional conflicts. It appears that our world has been broken up into fragments, in the words of Rabindranath Tagore, by narrow domestic walls. It also has fallen prey to vested geopolitical and strategic interests and intervention by foreign powers, as Pravin Gordhan has so eloquently presented. Fragmentation, however, is further compounded by the real threat of human decimation from the deadly global COVID-19 pandemic and the ravages of climate change. In this situation, we need leadership by example, not only in government, but from civil society. We need to identify, encourage, and promote leaders who work assiduously for socio-economic and fundamental human rights, for peace with bread and justice, for social cohesion, equality of opportunities, decent work, and good health. We need to carry on with the Nelson Mandela mandate to fight racism and social injustice in all their forms and manifestations, wherever these exist. Our generation, in fact, no generation can ride into the future on a wave of division, hatred, and conflict. More of us must stand up, speak out, and work selflessly, consistently, and purposefully to resolve conflicts and to promote inclusion and harmony. And so, dear participants, with these remarks, it is my honor to now launch the Nelson Mandela International Awards for Conflict Resolution. I congratulate Dr. Navanatyam Navi Pillay of South Africa and the Austrian Study Center for Peace and Conflict Resolution for being respectively the first recipient of the individual and the institutional Nelson Mandela International Award for Conflict Resolution. At the individual and institutional levels, our distinguished awardees have walked the talk and have made conflict resolution a lifelong occupation and a discipline for academic and creative pursuits. In the case of Dr. Pillay, her honor has been among her diverse professional occupations, the former High Commissioner of the UN Human Rights Commission, a judge on the bench of the International Criminal Court, and of note, the first non-white woman judge of the South African High Court. Congratulations. Thank you for your contributions towards making the world a safer place. Today, the legendary Nelson Mandela has come alive in the good work for which you have all been fittingly recognized. Thank you. Nandri.